Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So it's the start of a new year and it's the start of a blank canvas for all of us to get on with growing our vegetables and fruits for the next year. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a review of my best harvest and my best produce. And not only that, I'm going to do something that a lot of YouTubers, a lot of Instagrammers, a lot of people on social media don't show you, is my worst 3 failures as well. So I'm going to do you the top 3 crops and the worst 3 crops that I had in 2022. So into the greenhouse, and you can see a lot of my plants that are dead in here. And here's the scene for one of the best harvests, and you guessed it, it's my chilies. All these chili plants are dead. These are the ones that I'm not bothering about overwintering. I'm not trying to keep the greenhouse warm this winter. I'm letting a lot of these just die, and I'm going to go for a complete blank canvas in both my greenhouses. I'll show you what I've done in the other one already. So in this greenhouse, we've gone for a completely blank canvas. We've dug out everything. We've cleared all the plants, and we've even given the soil a dig over. And I've explained on the last video and on the live stream that I did last Friday on why in greenhouses I don't mind doing a bit of digging. So you can go back and have a look at those for an explanation. But I mean, this year has been an absolutely amazing year for chilies. Like, we were harvesting basket loads of chilies in some baskets I brought over from Bangladesh. We were just picking chilies at random. So Naga, amazing harvest of Naga. So it was so abundant. I just can't explain how abundant it was. It was absolutely the best year I've ever had for chilies. And it also leads nicely on to my next plant. If you remember in my aubergine and chili harvesting video that I did at the end of summer, we were harvesting aubergines and chilies right from the middle of the garden. So even outside, the chilies and aubergines were performing amazingly. You know, it was just something else. It was absolutely amazing this year. And to be honest with you, I think the success for this year has come by in large part due to the heat wave that we had, because it was extremely hot, it was extremely sunny. We had a prolonged period of no rain, we had a prolonged period of intense heat, and I think that heat just turned the aubergines and the chilies into, you know, something else, and they produced amazingly. I'll tag the aubergine harvesting and chili harvesting video up here. You can go and have a look at that. If you come down here, you'll see what I've done, and you won't have to take any guesses on this one. And you can see my garlic. You can see my garlic just doing absolutely amazing. They've come up really nice. Now, I planted these garlic at the start of November, something like that. I normally go for mid-October, but I was a little bit late getting my garlic into the ground, but I'm quite happy with the way they've come on. They're about 4 or 5 inches tall, and you know, I've done my cardboard method. So this method has really been successful for me over the years. We've developed it, we've refined it, and before I did the first video showing you how I plant my garlic, I'd been working on it for a number of years, and it's produced really well for me. I know quite a lot of other people have tried this method and they're also having a lot of success with it. My record was 60 kilos a few years ago. This year was, so 2022 wasn't quite the record breaking year, but we still harvested wheelbarrow loads of garlic, so it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so these are the things that I'm famous for. So I'm famous for my chilies, I'm famous for my garlic. These are crops that just didn't let us down. You're probably expecting bottle gourds in there somewhere. Bottle gourds were okay. It wasn't the best harvest I've ever had, but they were okay. They were an average year. I'd have thought they'd have done really well because of the prolonged heat, but for some reason they were okay, but they weren't fantastic for me. So but they were good. I can't complain about the bottle gourds. They were good. They were, yeah, maybe better than average, but nothing to sing, you know, shout from the rooftops about. But when we're talking about bottle gourds, it leads me on to the next plant, and it leads me on to those plants that didn't do too well for me. Now we've got this bed here, and we've got it overshadowed by that large sycamore tree, so it does tend to dry out because of the summer, or it does tend to dry out when we don't have a lot of rain. So this bed does need a lot of watering, but In this bed, what I did was I planted my squash in here, and then I went off to Bangladesh. And when I came back from Bangladesh, my squash were all, completely decimated by slugs and whatnot, because I wasn't here to keep an eye on it. So that's the thing that a lot of people ask, how do you keep on to, how do your plants do so well, is because there's always a constant presence. And when we don't have that constant presence, our plants do suffer. That's what happened here. Squash were completely decimated by the slugs and birds or whatever it was. They completely finished them off. I planted out really healthy plants, and I came back to, stalks, if anything. As soon as I got back from Bangladesh, I replanted them. And when I replanted them, I thought, yes, I'm going to be able to catch up on the season. Okay, it was a little bit later than I wanted, but I thought I'd catch up, and I thought I'd get a chance to get on with things. But again, it wasn't to be, because of that heat wave. The thing that benefited my chilies and my aubergines that were further up the garden, it didn't benefit the squash that were lower down the garden. So even though we got a decent harvest, it was really poor compared to what we'd normally get. Our top bed of squash did much better. This bed down here did really, really poorly. And that's it was disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing because it was a large bed. I dedicated a lot of space to them, and it just didn't pan out. So I've gone for a completely different approach this year. It wasn't going to be potatoes on here. My potatoes were going to go into the top bed, but because this bed performed so badly because of the drought, if we have another droughty season this year, then this bed won't perform too well. I've gone for a way that I can preserve water, so I've gone for deep mulch. So also this path that I'm stood on, it looks like a couple of planks that are on the ground, but actually it's a ditch. So it collects rainwater that runs off the garden, and it soaks it into the ground under this bed. And that's what I'm hoping for there is to try and maximize the water retention in that bed. And hopefully with the mulch and that, the potatoes should be okay. And we'll go back to my method of crop rotation, and I'll get the potatoes back onto the top bed the year after. And I'll explain my crop rotation. I keep saying I'm going to explain my crop rotation, but we'll do it soon. So down the side of this bed, I've got loads of sweet millions planted. And these sweet millions are going to come up, and they're going to be absolutely gorgeous. They look amazing down this side. But what I had behind them was I had some onion sets planted. So I had a couple of rows of onion sets right behind the sweet millions. A couple of years ago, I stopped planting onion sets and decided to only go for onion seeds, because I found that onion seeds just performed way, way better. They didn't bolt as much. They weren't as prone to bolting, and the size of the onions got a lot better and a lot bigger. But I had a bit of a tragedy. I mean, we raised some. Well, I say it was a tragedy, but it was down to some good things as well at the same time. We hatched some chicks out, so we hatched our own baby chicks out, and because I wanted to give them a safe space to live in, I gave them a greenhouse to live in. So we had a little pen set up in there, and the chicks, so they had their mother chick and 3 baby chicks in there, and they were all doing fine. And while they were small, they were okay, not a problem. And I had my onion seedlings, my cabbage seedlings, so loads of young plants. And as with all things, chicks grow, right? So my chicks grew, and they managed to get to a size where they could jump out of the little pen that I'd made for them. And they got up onto where my onions were and where my cabbages were, and they completely destroyed everything. So they ate all my onions, they ate all my cabbages, they ate all my pea plants. They destroyed absolutely everything. Because they were still in there, they were still in that greenhouse, and they were still staying in there, we just couldn't get the onions back. Because it had got too late into the season, so March time, onion seeds it's not a good time to start onion seeds because you won't have the growing season. So we just couldn't get the onion seeds in. So I went for onion sets, and what happened with the onion sets, the same thing happened as always happens, is they just bolted when it got to sort of midsummer, and they didn't put on the size. So it was disappointing with the onions, but at least we got the blessing of these 3. So we got these are the 3 chicks that caused the damage. There's the rooster. He's looking a bit worse for wear because he's just covered in absolute filth at the moment. He's been rolling around in this mud. So he's looking a bit disgusting. But we've got these 2 hens, which are absolutely gorgeous and full of character. So they're the ones that destroyed my onions, but now they're giving me loads and loads of eggs. So every day they're laying regularly. So we get it from 5 hens, we're getting 2 or 3 eggs a day. So which is great for our family. So on this bed, I'm doing a little bit of a new experiment this year with mulches around garlic. So you've got my cardboard method that works well for us. It's not a slightly different method, it's just a try a different method, different mulch, and seeing how that does. And here we're mulching with straw. So we had a lot of spoilt straw. I mean, I wouldn't go out and buy straw to do this with. There's a cat that lives in my straw bin, and he decided to pull a load out and it all got spoilt because of the rains. So I've mulched my garlic with this on top of sort of my cardboard, but we'll see how this goes. This bed here that I'm in the right middle of, this was my bed for cabbage, so beetroot and my salad leaves, and for some reason beetroot just wouldn't play ball last year. Every year I have a solid, reliable crop of beetroot, and for some reason, yeah, every time I planted beetroot, they just wouldn't germinate, and if they did germinate, they disappeared the day after. So something must have been picking at that beetroot. It's amazing because I had chard here, I had spinach here, and the chard and spinach did all right, but the beetroot for some reason just disappeared. So maybe for this year, I'm going to go for new seeds, try a couple of different varieties. I mean, one that I always go for is Boltardi, and that it always does well. But I'm going to try something else this year and see if I can get my beetroot back, because I love my beetroot. You know, I love my pickled beetroot and my pickled beetroot sandwiches with cheese. Yeah, that's the staple of my packed lunch. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tag 3 other creators. I'm going to tag 3 people to highlight their successes, and I'm going to highlight 3 people, you know, ask them to also highlight their failures. So the first one on my list is Baltic Homestead. So Gary's a guy who moved from the UK out to Latvia, and he set up a whole homestead out there, and he's setting up a garden and a little mini farm really. So go and check his channel out. I'll ask him to make the same video. Kenroy as well, you're the next person on my list, and I want to see what you've had success with, because you've gone for, you're quite a novice gardener, but you've gone for picking something, you know, you're doing the same thing that we're doing. It's a small scale family garden. I'm going to tag someone who's out in the Midlands in the UK, and he's doing the same sort of thing as I'm doing, but he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. So Bagan Bagan, Azad Ali. So let's see what you can do. So if you can make a similar video and explain what your successes and your failures. But he's basically created a tropical paradise in his garden. Absolutely amazing. I'm really looking forward to the videos from these guys. I hope they follow up on the tag, and make sure you spread the tag on. So tag other people and ask them to do the same thing, and let's see if we can get the whole of January made full of videos of your top 3 successes and your top 3 failures. And even if I haven't tagged you, or if someone doesn't tag you, get a video made and show us what you've won at and what you failed at, because life's about ups and downs, yeah? So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.